It's time for Morton in the Morning on WVBF, a weekly get-together with your friends at Morton Hospital. Coming to you every Wednesday at 11:05 a.m., Morton in the Morning brings you full access to the latest hospital news and health information. Stay in the know about important health and wellness topics, new doctors and services, and upcoming events, and get to know the team at your community hospital. And now, Morton in the Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is February 1st, believe it or not. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Morton in the Morning. We are excited to be bringing you a new show today with a new guest who has never been on our show before, and we hope you will find the topic of interest. As a reminder, we come to you every Wednesday at 11:05 a.m. right here on WVBF, your hometown radio station. And we are always looking for to give you shows on topics that are of interest to you and the general public. So if you have any ideas or any suggestions for us on topics you'd like to hear about on a future Morton in the Morning show, you can contact us anytime at our email address, which is mortoninthemorning@steward.org. That's MORTON in the morning at STEWARD.org. So it's the new year. We've had a couple new shows already, and again today we have a brand new show for you. If you listened the last couple of weeks, we were talking about our upcoming hiring event, which is actually happening next week. We are very excited about it because it's a big event for us. It is a hiring event for all open positions here at Morton Hospital. So not just nurses, but so many other ancillary departments as well as clinical positions. So our hiring event is on next Tuesday, February 7th. We have a morning session, 9 a.m. to noon, and then an afternoon session, 2 to 4 p.m. And it's a walk-in hiring event. You can just come right in as long as you bring a copy of your resume with you, an up-to-date copy. Or you could register online in advance. You can find the link to sign up in advance on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Morton Hospital MA. So you can sign up or walk in. It doesn't really matter. We just want to see you here. So we are hiring for candidates for many, many different positions: nurses, CNAs, patient safety sitters, unit clerks, admitting clerks, security officers, food service positions, mental health associates, and so many more, such as imaging techs, interpreters, and lots more. So you can actually check out all of our open positions online at jobs.steward.org. If you type that into your browser, and then you'll see a section where you can sort by state. You want to select Massachusetts, obviously, and then the city, Taunton, and then if you click search, you will see all of the open positions right here at Morton Hospital in Taunton. So if you're listening out there, if you're looking for a career change or for a new career opportunity, we've got some great careers, rewarding careers here at Morton Hospital. Or if you know anybody out there, friends, family members, please spread the word and let them know they're welcome to join us next Tuesday, February 7th for our walk-in hiring event, 9 a.m. to noon and 2 to 4 p.m. We hope to have a great turnout. So today we have an interesting topic. We're going to be talking a bit about blood, to be pretty specific. So we have a guest from our blood bank. We're going to be talking about what the lab does, what the blood bank at Morton Hospital does in managing blood products, and the importance of donating blood to hospitals like ours that really need it. So let's dive into today's show with our first guest. So today we are excited to be bringing in a new guest to our show. Her name is Toni Bishop, and she represents our laboratory. So welcome, Toni. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, tell us about yourself, maybe a little bit about your background, and then about your role here at Morton.
Great. So my name is Toni Bishop. I am the blood bank supervisor here at Morton. I have been supervisor since the summer of 2021. I started with Steward in the end of 2020. I am a UMass Dartmouth graduate in 2018 with my bachelor's in medical laboratory science, and I also have my master's degree in healthcare administration from SNHU.
Awesome. It feels like you've been here much longer than that. When you said the dates, I was a little surprised. I'm like, what? Tony's been here for much longer than
Yeah, everyone says that.
Maybe just because going through COVID, it felt like so long. I don't know. It just feels like everyone's been here for so long after that experience.
Well, we all just work together so closely here as a team, and I feel like in a lot of other places you don't get that sense of a team.
Yes.
So here at Morton, I think, we just work so closely with one another that we're just so much more aware of everyone else.
That's very true. That's a good point, actually. And your colleague Judy, when she was on our show a couple of weeks ago about the hiring event, that's another point that she shared, that it just feels like such a family. There's such collaboration here. And we were talking about some of the jobs available in the lab. So you said you oversee the blood bank. Is that the only section of the lab that you oversee?
So that is my specific department.
Mm-hmm.
However, I am in charge of scheduling for the whole lab for all the med techs.
Okay.
And if I'm the only supervisor there, everybody can come to me about any problem in any section of the lab. So my main focus is in blood bank, but I am a lab supervisor.
Okay. And what are the various sections of the lab?
So there's blood bank, chemistry, hematology, and microbiology.
Okay, and they all do something a little bit different. They must go to school specifically for those things. They must study different products or specimen.
So you can either get a associate's degree in medical technology. So those are our medical lab technologists, or medical lab technicians, I should say. And then you can get a 4-year degree, which is what I have, and that is medical laboratory science. So you can see MLS, MT, and MLT as some of the credentials that you might see.
Okay. And the staff in each of those sections, do they stay right within that area, or do they hop around in the lab? Are some people trained to cover any area of the lab?
So we have mostly what we call generalists. So they can do any department, any given day. They can multitask. So like a lot of our off shifts, you're either doing chemistry and blood bank, and then hematology and micro together. But anybody can do any department for the most part.
Okay. All right, so let's talk more about the blood bank, because our listeners out there might be thinking, what is that? So what is that?
Okay, so the blood bank is basically where we house all of our blood products and do all of our pre-transfusion testing. There are many reasons why a person or a patient may need a blood transfusion, but the most common ones people may know about are some sort of anemia or some sort of bleeding issue.
All right, well, I definitely want to get into more specifics about these types of things that people would need the blood transfusions and blood products for, and also a little bit more about, what does managing these products look like in our lab? And lots more questions for you, Tony, but first, unfortunately, it is time for our first break of today's show. So if you're just tuning in, we are talking with Tony Bishop, and she is a section head in our laboratory. She supervises our blood bank, and we're talking about how they manage blood products, what they're used for, and we have lots more to come with Tony. So stick around. We will be right back after this short break.
We'll be back with more of Morton in the Morning in just a few moments here at WVBF.
Need a primary care provider? Morton Hospital and Steward Medical Group have welcomed 3 new doctors to our community. Dr. Margaret Sywinska and Dr. Yelena Levin have joined our Steward Primary Care of Taunton practice located on Bay Street. For an appointment, you can call 774-501-3229. And Dr. Joanne Sylvia is now seeing patients at Steward Primary Care of Lakeville, seeing patients of all ages. For an appointment, call 508-947-4400.
And now back to Morton in the Morning here at WVBF, Hometown Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's new episode of Morton in the Morning. I'm your host, Julie, and we are broadcasting right here from Morton Hospital, your community hospital in Taunton. And we come to you every Wednesday at 11:05 a.m. right here on WVBF, your hometown radio station. We are excited to be bringing you a brand new show today. If you are just tuning in, we are talking with Toni Bishop, and she is one of the supervisors in our lab, and we are talking about the lab's blood bank and what exactly that is. And before we took the break, we were talking about the different types of situations that patients might need blood products or a blood transfusion for, and also talking about the different types of products that are in our lab sitting in our blood bank. And what does managing these products entail? I mean, are they in a refrigerator? Like, do they have to do regular testing on them to make sure, do those products expire?
So they definitely expire, and they all have different containing requirements. So like our red blood cells are kept in regular refrigerators. Our FFP, also known as fresh frozen plasma, is kept in a very, very deep freezer. We also have cryoprecipitate, which is also kept in the freezer, and then platelets, which are kept room temperature.
Interesting. So there's 4 main products that you keep in there.
Yes.
Okay. And so a day in the life of someone who works in the blood bank, what are they doing all day with those products?
So it largely depends on what the patient need is for that day. There are, some days where we don't give out very many blood products at all. And then there's other days where, we give out multiple coolers to the OR, to the ED. If there's, some sort of trauma, we give a lot of blood up to the ICU variant products. So the blood bank technologist's job is to basically make sure that the patient is getting the safest blood product possible for them.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about, you mentioned a couple, but the various ways that you use these products. Are they all used internally on our own patients? Do we ever give blood products to partner organizations, or is it all just used internally?
So we use most of our product internally. However, we do share, especially within, the Steward network and our local partner hospitals. That in turn has had a lot to do with the blood shortage we have going on, which I'm sure we'll touch on.
Definitely.
But there are definitely products that, we may have a surplus of that is in need at Good Samaritan. So sometimes we'll send some products to them, and in turn they'll send products to us.
Okay, so then let's go over again, what types of situations we would use those blood products for in patients. Obviously trauma, if they're losing a lot of blood in the emergency department. Exactly. What other types of things? So anemia is a general term that we hear a lot. However, there are a lot of more specific types of anemia, which is basically what is causing the anemia. So some examples of that are iron deficiency anemia, sickle cell anemia, just any blood loss anemia, basically anything that has reduced the amount of hemoglobin in the blood. Okay. So traumas, anemias,
blood loss.
What about, oncology patients? Do you do a lot of work with oncology patients?
We do. We have a really close relationship with the hematology oncology office with Dr. Sayurale.
Yep.
She is also the chairperson of our transfusion committee that we do on a quarterly basis. So we get a lot of patients who come in through outpatient and through day surgery who need transfusion quite often because they're on chemo, and chemo in turn lowers overall blood cell counts, and that is something we call pancytopenia, which means that they're low on all of their different kinds of cells.
Okay.
Hence, regular transfusion is trying to replenish those cells that they have so they can continue to oxygenate properly.
Gotcha. Now, does the lab do the transfusions? Who does the transfusions, and what happens during that process?
So what we call cross-match the blood, which is basically our compatibility testing, making sure that the blood is, immediately safe.
Okay.
And then what we do is we issue the blood to a nurse or transfusionist. In turn, once the blood reaches the blood bank, we have very little involvement unless there is some sort of adverse reaction or event. However, nursing and nursing education are very involved in making sure that the transfusions are performed safely.
Okay. Are there a lot of those that happen?
No, not very often at all. It's very uncommon, and even any sort of what we call transfusion reactions or adverse events are actually not related to the transfusion at all.
Yep.
Some patients are just very sensitive. Like some people will, become itchy, or they'll, feel really cold. They'll get chills. Their temperature will go up a little bit, but sometimes that's just them reacting to sometimes the additive in the red blood cells, or they're just having some sort of, what is this that I'm getting?
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, because you're introducing new blood, right?
Something
like they're
foreign,
okay.
Technically.
All right, so all these products that you have that are kept in the blood bank, where do you get them? Where have they come from?
So the majority of our products come from the American Red Cross.
Okay.
On a very rare occasion, we will reach out to Rhode Island Blood Center, and that is where basically 100% of our products come from. The American Red Cross is the main blood supplier for everybody.
Okay.
So we have a really good relationship with them in maintaining our inventory and getting products in.
So we work with these organizations. We can't somehow acquire our own blood products, right?
No, we do not have a donor center here. So some hospitals do, but we are not one of them.
Okay. All right, so Red Cross, and what was the other organization you mentioned?
Rhode Island Blood Center.
Oh, okay.
In Providence.
Oh, interesting. Is that just because that's the closest one to us? Or?
Yes. We don't have a particular contract with them, but in the thick of the blood shortage, we had to kind of divert to other outlets.
Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about that shortage, because I know we heard a lot about it throughout COVID, obviously. Did COVID have a huge impact on blood product availability? Were hospitals fighting for this product? Talk about what all happened during that experience.
Yes, so COVID took a very large toll on blood product availability. So when we talk about where we get blood products from, that is solely reliant on donors and donations. So when donation is down, blood products are down. And in COVID, people were quarantining, isolating. They weren't actively going out to donate. The American Red Cross was not able to hold drives in public places. So we were really struggling for a long time. Everyone was struggling with blood donation.
Yeah. So what was that like? What did we do if we didn't have products for people that needed it?
Right. So
or were we ever in that situation?
We were absolutely in that situation. And as a, smaller medical center, we don't have the luxury of, having a large inventory on the shelf at all times. We're very conservative here. So we are more conservative here with the amount of blood products we keep on the shelf at all times. However, we can never predict when, we're going to have somebody who requires more blood one day, than the next day, or on a continuing basis. So because donations were down, there was a lot of limiting on what we could order per day, per week, etc. However, that didn't always match our need.
Okay.
So, for example, say on a Tuesday, we had a patient come in who required 4 units of O positive red cells. That would leave us below our critical level of what we would have on the shelf. However, for that day, we were only allowed to order 1, and we would only get 1 in. That would leave us below critical level on that particular blood type, which is the most common blood type.
Okay.
So in situations like that, we would ask to borrow from other hospitals. We also have the ability to post units on a sharing board. So say we needed something and another hospital had extra of it. They could post it and we could claim it and bring it in to help keep our inventory more stable.
That's interesting. A lot of sharing during COVID. That's nice how all the hospitals came together in so many different ways.
Yes, absolutely. So much sharing and so much collaboration, and just to keep, everyone afloat. And so we're able to still, get patients what they need. However, we did, have to lower some levels as far as what was considered a transfusion criteria.
Gotcha.
So that is mainly based off of a hemoglobin level, which is from your CBC specimen, probably the most common test that we do.
Yep.
So right now, it is now back to 7.0 is like your cutoff for transfusion criteria. We did lower it to 6.8 temporarily during the worst parts. And basically, we didn't have too much issue with that because, here the doctors know when a transfusion is really necessary.
Sure.
Because it's not your first thing to do when you say, oh, this person's a little bit anemic, let me just give them a blood transfusion, because there's risk that comes with that.
Sure.
But there's other therapies that they could try, other medications, iron infusions, things such as that. And it definitely made the doctors more vigilant when it came to trying other therapies other than just going to blood transfusion.
Yeah.
So, there was very little times where we had to say, no, you cannot have your blood transfusion today. And not because we didn't have it, but we just didn't want to risk not having it for those truly emergent situations.
Sure. Well, it sounds like it was just an ongoing, day by day process, and you just sort of had to adapt and change things around, but also make sure it was safe. And it sounds like we probably weren't the only hospital going through this during COVID either.
No, definitely not. And that protocol, bringing down the hemoglobin level, was across at least all of Stewart. And it was something that was agreed upon by everybody, and still definitely within a safe parameter.
Now, during COVID, did our lab get involved with, trials? Like, I remember they were asking for people who had COVID to donate blood, as a therapy to treat other patients with COVID. Did we get involved in any of that?
So we did have the convalescent COVID plasma for a little bit of time in 2020. So that was a little bit before my time here.
Gotcha.
But we were able to discontinue that. I believe it was the summer of 2021. And that's because the Red Cross had stopped collecting it and had just been, giving out their reserves, and then what was gone, it was gone.
Now, is the general, consensus that did help patients, or?
I think it was a very mixed review.
Yeah.
But I think that it was determined that collecting it, storing it, and getting it to hospitals was more than what the results were given.
Gotcha. But, it was worth trying, right? Because at the beginning, obviously, we had so many more patients with COVID and so many more sick patients with COVID. So, just, so many interesting trials and things that happened that people were able to learn from, best practices, and hospitals were able to collaborate and share, different treatment options and therapies. And fortunately, today we are in a much better place.
Yes.
But again, it wasn't just COVID that we needed the blood products for. There's many other situations.
Yes.
So obviously, it's super important to consider giving, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of people might be hesitant. So it's kind of scary. You're taking blood out of your body, but it's a safe process, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a very safe process, and it's a very quick process, too. And the American Red Cross makes it really easy for you to come in and donate and it not be a huge event in your day.
Yep. Well, let's definitely talk more about that, because there might be some listeners out there who have never donated before. They don't even know where to start, where to find, blood drives. So I want to ask you some more questions about the process, how they can find a blood drive or location to donate blood through the Red Cross. and what the process is like. What happens during it. Is it simple? How long does it take? So more to come on this topic. If you're just tuning in, we have been talking with Tony Bishop of our blood bank and our lab here at Morton Hospital. We've been talking all about the importance of donating blood, what the blood products are used for here at the hospital, etc. So when we come back, we will be talking more with Tony about the importance of blood donation, how it happens, how you can find a donation center or a blood drive near you. So please listen in if you want to hear those details, because we absolutely encourage everybody out there to consider donating. As you heard Tony talk about, it is much needed, and many hospitals in the area, including ours, are always in need of the blood products to help our patients when they need them. All right, so we are going to take a short break, and we will be right back after this brief message.
We'll be back with more of Morton in the Morning in just a few moments here at WVBF.
At Morton Hospital, we're proud to be nationally recognized for quality and safety. In addition to recently achieving the Gold Seal of Approval and accreditation from the Joint Commission, the Leapfrog Group has named us as a straight A's hospital for having received 5 consecutive A hospital safety grades since 2020. To learn more about our achievements and awards, visit mortonhospital.org.
And now back to Morton in the Morning here at WVBF, Hometown Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. This is the second half of today's Morton in the Morning show, and we have a really great guest with us today. Before we get back to our interview, just a reminder how you can contact us here at Morton in the Morning. Email us anytime at mortoninthemorning@steward.org. That's MORTON in the morning at STEWARD.org. We would love to hear from our listeners. We want to hear if you have any ideas for future shows. What topics would you like to hear about? We want to hear if you're enjoying our show, or if you have any, kudos to our guests who come on and are in the spotlight every week with us. So reach out to us anytime. We would love to hear from our listeners and hear how we're doing and what suggestions you have for future shows. So today we've been talking with Tony Bishop of our lab management team, actually, and we've been talking all about the blood bank at Morton Hospital, blood products we use, what types of situations we give blood to our patients for to help them heal. And we were actually, before the break, just talking about donating blood. So we want to get more into how do you donate blood, what's the best way to go about finding a blood drive near you. So Tony, tell us, what do we need to do?
So you can go to redcross.org, and the first thing you'll see when you go onto that website is donate blood, and you can look by your area where there is a blood drive near you, or whether you want to go to one of their donation centers. And basically all you have to do is you fill out this little questionnaire, and then you go in for your donation. They take your vitals. They ask you a couple of more questions just to make sure you're, in a healthy enough state to donate. And then the actual donation process itself takes about 15 minutes. And it's really very simple. You would be very surprised. They ask you more questions, and the intake is lengthier than the actual collection itself.
And we know that because we've actually done, prior to COVID, we used to do some community blood drives here at the hospital. During COVID, obviously that ended, but since within the last year, we've actually done, I think, 2 employee blood drives here at the hospital, and we actually have another one planned. I believe it's for April, so we try to fill all the appointment spots with our own employees. And those have actually been pretty successful. We definitely have people who are eager to donate, and they enjoy participating in it. So we're looking forward to our next one. If by chance we don't fill all of those spots, we'll definitely open that up to the community as well. Are there certain criteria that you have to meet in order to be eligible to donate blood?
The criteria is very minimal.
Okay.
So basically, you just have to be in overall good health. If you present with, like, say, a too high of a blood pressure when you come in to donate, then they may deny you or say, come back, when you're in a better state of health. Or if you have a cold, or, if you've been sick recently, they may tell you that you can't donate today, but to come back. But most of what I've seen, people have been able to donate, and it is a very just common sense decision. Like, okay, I'm feeling good. I feel like I am able to give. And it really doesn't have any, after effect. You donate, they have you sit there and eat a couple of snacks.
Yeah, you get snacks. It's great.
Always get the snacks. And then, they send you on your way. I mean, we were, doing that with employees. People were coming to donate, taking, 30 minutes out of their shift and going back to work.
Yes. No adverse effects.
Exactly. So it really is a much more simpler process than it may seem.
Now, are there certain types of blood that are really needed right now for any reason?
Yes. So I'll actually there are a couple different types of donations.
Okay.
So the kind of donations that we see in these sort of community blood drives and the ones here at Morton are called whole blood donations.
Okay.
So in turn, that donation is processed and then separated into the different components. So that could be your red cells, your plasma, your platelets, and they separate it from there. So that is the most common type of donation.
Okay.
And so in terms of red blood cells, the most needed blood type of all is O negative. O negative is considered the universal donor blood type. It can be given to just about any patient in an emergency situation. On the opposite side of that, for plasma, it's opposite. So the most needed blood type for plasma is AB plasma. So that is considered the universal donor of plasma.
Okay.
So it's very opposite. So donors of all blood types are always needed. However, O neg and AB donors, for different reasons, are very much needed.
Okay. Now, so in that blood sample that you give, the whole blood donation, they're able to separate all the parts of the blood? How does that happen?
So the bag itself gets put into a very, very large centrifuge. So it's basically a machine that you put inside a little bucket, and it spins really, really fast.
Wow.
And it spins so fast that it separates the different components,
That's
due to their
amazing.
density.
Wow.
So at the bottom, you'll have your packed red blood cells, which is the red portion, and then the yellow portion, which is your plasma, and then they're able to further extract platelets from there. Which is a very interesting process.
That's incredible. Do we have one of those centrifuges here?
No, we do not have anything to do with the preparation of components.
Okay.
They come to us already separated and processed for us.
Okay. So what is the most rare type of blood?
The most rare type of blood is type AB. I believe type AB makes about 4% of the entire population, which is why it is always in such high demand for plasma. But a type AB person can get any red blood cell type.
Okay.
However, they can only get AB plasma.
Gotcha.
Because it's opposite.
Okay.
But on the other hand, with an O neg person, type O neg makes, I believe, 13 to 15% of the population.
Okay.
And they can only get O neg red blood cells.
But they can give to
get
anyone.
any type of plasma.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Right. And their blood they can give to anyone, you said, right? They're a
Yes,
universal donor.
Exactly.
Okay. And what's the most common blood type?
The most common blood types are O pos and A pos.
Okay.
Those make up about, I believe, 70% of the total population. They're very close between the two.
So is this just genetics?
Yep.
Okay.
Genetics, so you can get it from your parents. For example, I am blood type A positive.
Yep.
My mom is blood type O positive, and in turn, I can deduce that my dad is A positive based on how you inherit blood types.
Very
so
interesting.
If both of your parents are blood type O, you are automatically going to be blood type O as well, because that's all they can give you.
Okay.
However, my mom is an O, my dad is an A.
Yep.
That A is dominant over the O.
Ah, so that's why there's so few O's out there.
Yeah. If you have two O parents, then you're probably 99.9% of the time going to be an O person. But if you have one parent that is A, B, or AB, you are, based on the genetics, you have obviously the chance to be a B person.
Now, if you are to donate, do you have to know what type of blood you have?
No, you do not. And that's the fun part. Okay. So if you don't know what your blood type is and you are really just ultimately curious, you can actually track your blood donation on the Red Cross app. Okay. So you donate your blood, and then on your app it'll say, oh, your unit is being processed. And then once your blood is tested, it will come up on your app what your blood type is.
Cool.
So then you'll just kind of know forever, and then, you can go to the hospital and say, I know my blood type is this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious. I wonder if most people know their blood type, because myself, I actually have no idea what blood type I am. So are there other ways to find out what type of blood you have other than donations? I mean, does it come up when you do your CBC panels? Like, how do you find out what type your blood is?
So the only time really, in the medical setting that you'll find out your blood type is if you have a CBC drawn and they determine that you need a blood transfusion.
Okay.
Or if you are having surgery maybe, where there may be a risk of bleeding, they will order you a type and screen specimen before your surgery. It's funny because a lot of people will receive blood transfusions and not remember them because it's sometimes in such a high stress situation. I know that happens a lot with like labor and delivery. Yeah. They'll say, oh, I think I got a blood transfusion, but I don't know. Yeah. Things like that. So in particular, like my mom had no idea, what blood type she was until she had a surgery, even though she's had 3 kids.
Gotcha.
But you can always ask. If you know you've had some sort of type and screen, you can always get that record and you can find out what your blood type is.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I might just have to donate then to find out.
Yeah, you might.
To find out what my blood type is. All right. So this has been. I've had fun asking these questions. I've learned a lot. So thank you, Tony. And again, to our listeners out there, just emphasize the importance of donating blood. We need it here at Morton Hospital. There are other hospitals that need it, and ultimately the patients need it if they are in a situation where they need that product. So please consider donating. Go on you said redcross.org, right? Yes. And you can search by your location. I actually, when I go on, I always find many in our area. There's plenty of blood drives around there. So there might even be one a month. So lots to choose from. So please consider donating. And Tony, thank you so much. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, not really. Just, try it out, and it'll make you feel good, and especially because you can track your blood donation on the app now. It'll tell you what hospital it goes to. Oh, wow. It'll tell you if it's been transfused. You know, your donation could potentially save a life.
Would it even tell you what it's used for? Or is that too much information?
No, it won't tell you what it's used for, HIPAA. But it will tell you what hospital it went to, and it will tell you, I believe, if it was transfused. So, you could know firsthand that, your donation actually went to somebody and did someone some good. So I think that's just really rewarding.
Definitely.
And I think they have made it possible for us to track that, for us to kind of see the moral side of it. Yeah. And I just think that's very rewarding.
Very cool.
I think it's just good to give it a try. see how you feel about it.
The reward is greater than the possible fear. If you have a fear of needles or whatever,
100%.
You can look away. It doesn't take long, as you said.
Definitely.
I guarantee people, if they try it out, they probably say, "Wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be,"
definitely.
and probably have a lot of repeat donors. And I know from when we did our employee blood drives, we had a lot of new donors, but many on the list that were repeat donors that do it frequently. So, and enjoy doing it because it's so rewarding. So
definitely.
All right, Tony, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you.
All right, well, it is time for us to take our last break of today's show. So we'll squeeze in these brief messages, and then when we come back for the final segment, we will recap today's show and also share some hospital updates, including some info about some upcoming events. So stick around. We'll be right back after this short break.
We'll be back with more of Morton in the Morning in just a few moments here at WVBF.
Need a primary care provider? Morton Hospital and Steward Medical Group have welcomed 3 new doctors to our community. Dr. Margaret Sywinska and Dr. Yelena Levin have joined our Steward Primary Care of Taunton practice located on Bay Street. For an appointment, you can call 774-501-3229. And Dr. Joanne Sylvia is now seeing patients at Steward Primary Care of Lakeville, seeing patients of all ages. For an appointment, call 508-947-4400.
And now back to Morton in the Morning here at WVBF, Hometown Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the final segment of today's Morton in the Morning show. We hope you've been enjoying today's show, but if you're just tuning in, what we have been talking about is, we had a guest, Tony Bishop. She is a supervisor in our lab, and we were talking about the various sections of the lab here at Morton Hospital, specifically our blood bank, which Tony is the supervisor of, and talking about what the blood bank does, the types of blood products that are managed there, types of situations that would require us to give those blood products to our patients to help them heal or even to save patients in trauma-like situations. And also talking about the importance of donating blood. Because as Tony mentioned earlier, how do we get all those products? They actually come solely from donations from the public, from the community. Some hospitals have their own donation center, but we do not. So we partner with the American Red Cross and the Rhode Island Blood Center, and we get blood products from them that are collected from donors, and we are able to use them here at the hospital for our patients when they need them. So before we took our break, Tony was telling us, there's lots of blood drives out there. The American Red Cross is the primary organization that sets up blood drives in various communities. If you go to redcross.org, you can search by your zip code. I know for a fact when I've searched Taunton zip code 02780, there are many that pop up. So we really encourage you out there, listeners, to please consider donating. Your blood products are much needed. There's always shortages of various products, and we really need them. So consider donating. If you're a repeat donor, if you're a first-time donor, Tony talked about the process. It's very simple. If you sign up through the Red Cross site, you'll go through a questionnaire and they'll collect all your information. And the process itself of giving the blood, as Tony mentioned, is very fast. It only takes about 15 minutes. It's just the initial intake and then the recovery time after, where you have a little snack, make sure you're good to go. So easy process, very rewarding, as Tony mentioned, and your blood products go, they can help many, many patients. So please consider donating. Lots of blood drives in our area. We have an employee blood drive coming up here at Morton Hospital in April, and oftentimes we will open that up to the public, so keep an eye out. You can find that on our Facebook page or on the redcross.org site. It will be listed if we open it up to our community. So thanks again to Tony. She was a really great guest, shared a lot of great information. I learned so much, and so much about blood types and whatnot. So now I'm actually curious myself to find out what blood type I am. So I look forward to signing up to donate at our upcoming blood drive. All right, well, let's wrap up our show today with some updates. As we mentioned earlier in the show, and as we mentioned on the last 2 weeks on our show, we have a really great opportunity coming up for our community. We have a big hiring event coming up here at Morton Hospital. Next Tuesday, February 7th, it is a hiring event for all open positions at Morton Hospital. Many different career opportunities: nurses, CNAs, admitting clerks, security officers, phlebotomists, imaging techs, and so many more. You can find all of those opportunities at jobs.steward.org and search for the jobs in Taunton. But our hiring event is an on-site hiring event right here at the hospital. It's from 9 a.m. to noon for the morning session and 2 to 4 p.m. for the afternoon session. You can either register in advance through the link on our Facebook page or on Indeed, or you can just walk in. We just ask that you bring an up-to-date copy of your resume. We'll be having on-the-spot interviews with the various managers of the different departments here at Morton Hospital, and might even offer some offers right on the spot. So it's a great opportunity for you to come in if you're looking for a new career opportunity, if you know somebody that's looking for a new career. Healthcare is very rewarding, and we have lots of great benefits to working here at Morton Hospital. So please join us for our hiring event. It's a walk-in event next Tuesday, February 7th, 9 to noon and 2 to 4. Just show up, bring yourself, be ready to interview, and bring us a copy of your resume, and we'll make sure that you interview with the right director in whatever position or department that you're the best fit for. And another perk, we do have some sign-on bonuses available for nursing positions, and also new graduate nurses are welcome to join us as well. We will hire new graduate nurses. Unfortunately, they're just not eligible for that sign-on bonus right now, but we are hiring and welcome new nurse graduates. So come to our hiring event next Tuesday, February 7th. So wanted to give a shout out to one of our doctors here in the community. He's actually our chief of orthopedics, Dr. Drew Rogers. He's with the University Orthopedics Group down in Rainham. And again, our chief of orthopedics here at Morton Hospital. He's been with us for quite some time. Wonderful, outstanding member of our orthopedics team, very well known in our community. And he actually just had a great honor last week. He was actually a keynote speaker at the Kuwait Orthopedic Conference. So he was the only speaker or panelist representing the United States, and he joined orthopedic specialists from various countries, including France, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. So congratulations to Dr. Rogers. That was a 3-day conference of orthopedic specialists, talk about the latest advancements in orthopedics and surgery, and what a great honor for him for being selected and being part of that. So congratulations to Dr. Rogers on that well-deserved achievement, and we hope he had a great time at that conference, and we look forward to having him on the show for one of our upcoming shows so we can talk to him about that experience, but also what's going on in orthopedics here at Morton Hospital. We've got some new services, some new things that we're offering. We have one of Dr. Rogers' colleagues, Dr. Newland, is actually doing a new robotic procedure. So we want to have Dr. Rogers and Dr. Newland on a future show to tell you about those key new services in our orthopedics department. So hopefully we'll have him on very soon. And also provider related, as you know, we always like to keep you up to date on the latest with our provider team because we are always having new specialists join us here at the hospital. We recently welcomed 3 new primary care providers. We welcomed a new pain management nurse practitioner. We welcomed a new gastroenterology nurse practitioner. And next month, we're very excited to be welcoming another doctor to our pain clinic here at Morton Hospital. So in early March, we will have Dr. Richard Pavo joining us and joining our pain clinic team, which includes Dr. Todorov and nurse practitioner Erin McDonough, to round out that great team because there's so much demand for those types of services. So Dr. Pavo will be joining our pain clinic here at Morton Hospital, which is located right up at our day surgery center on site at the hospital in early March. So watch for announcements about him. And if you want to try to book an appointment with our pain clinic with one of the current providers, or to find out more about Dr. Pavo coming to our team, you can call our pain clinic at 508-828-7186. Again, that's 508-828-7186, and we look forward to Dr. Pavo joining us and being the newest specialist to join our team here at Morton Hospital, which is ever growing, which is great because we always want to make sure we have the right specialists and providers here to care for our community so you don't have to travel. All right, let's talk about some upcoming events and sponsorships. So Morton Hospital is proud to be a corporate sponsor of our local chambers and all of the great events that they host every year. So we are a corporate sponsor of the Taunton Area Chamber of Commerce as well as the Cranberry Country Chamber of Commerce. And both have some great events coming up if you are a chamber member and want to learn more about those. The Cranberry Chamber has their annual meeting on March 8th. The Taunton Chamber has a new fundraising event. They have a comedy night coming up on March 23rd that we are looking forward to being a sponsor of and participating in. And we also maintain a great relationship with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro South. So their big event is coming up. It is the Bid for Kids Gala. And that's happened the last few years at Putnam Club up at Gillette Stadium. And it's happening again this year on April 14th. And we are a silver sponsor of that event, which is a huge fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club. They get hundreds of people that go. It's an amazing night. There's auctions, there's raffles, there's food, there's an after party at the Splitsville Bowling Alley for sponsors. So if you want to sponsor that or get involved or donate, you can check out the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro South, their website or their Facebook page to find out more information. And we hope to see many of our community members at those events. And some other great events, our friends over at the Taunton Diversity Network have some events and activities planned for Black History Month, which is happening right now in February. We encourage everybody to check out their Facebook page, search Taunton Diversity Network on Facebook. They have multiple events scheduled, including a roundtable discussion, some music events, a Black art exhibit, and more. So they are doing great things, and there's sponsorship opportunities and just lots of great opportunities to get involved and show your support for Black History Month as well as the Taunton Diversity Network. So check them out on Facebook. So that just about wraps up our time for today's show. I again want to thank Tony Bishop, our guest. I want to encourage everybody to consider donating blood through the American Red Cross. Go to redcross.org and find a donation site or an upcoming community blood drive near you. I also encourage everybody to come to our hiring event next Tuesday, February 7th here at Morton Hospital. It's our walk-in hiring event. Interview on the spot. It's for all of our open positions. And if you want to learn more, go to our website, mortonhospital.org. And then also if you go to jobs.steward.org, you can check out all of the career opportunities here at Morton Hospital. And before we end today's show, a reminder how you can contact us. You can reach out anytime at mortoninthemorning@steward.org. That's MORTON in the morning at STEWARD.org. We would love to hear from our listeners. How are we doing? What ideas do you have for future shows? So reach out at any time. We've really enjoyed today's show, and we hope you did too. And we look forward to joining you in the coming weeks with more new Morton in the Morning shows. Tune in every Wednesday, 11:05 a.m., right here on WVBF, your hometown radio station. That wraps up today's show from all of us at Morton Hospital. We hope you have a happy and healthy week, and we look forward to joining you next Wednesday. At Morton Hospital, we're proud to be nationally recognized for quality and safety. In addition to recently achieving the Gold Seal of Approval and accreditation from the Joint Commission, the Leapfrog Group has named us as a straight A's hospital for having received 5 consecutive A hospital safety grades since 2020. To learn more about our achievements and awards, visit mortonhospital.org.